Welcome to my channel. Have you ever wondered how a man who couldn't speak properly until the age of 4 became one of the smartest people in history? What if I told you that Albert Einstein, the man behind the famous theory of relativity, was once considered a failure by his own teachers? Yes, it's true. This is not just a story about science. It's a powerful story about courage, about dreams, and about how one curious mind changed the world forever. So stay with me, because what you're about to hear will inspire you in ways you never expected. Chapter 1: The Quiet Boy with Big Dreams. Albert Einstein was born on March 14th, 1879, in a small city called Ulm in Germany. He was not born famous. In fact, when he was a baby, his parents were even a little worried about him. He looked different. His head was a bit bigger than normal, and he didn't speak until he was around 4 years old. Yes, the man who would later explain the universe could not speak full sentences like other children his age. Many people thought he was slow or not very smart. But Albert was just different. He was quiet. He spent a lot of time thinking. Even as a young boy, he liked to be alone and ask big questions in his mind. When Albert was 5 years old, something happened that changed everything. His father gave him a small magnetic compass. It was simple. Just a needle that always pointed in the same direction. But to young Albert, it was magical. He kept turning it, moving it, shaking it, and still the needle moved on its own. Why does it do that? He wondered. There was no one touching it, yet it moved. This compass made him think about invisible forces, like magnetism, and this simple gift became the start of a lifelong journey into science. This small moment became very important in his life. That's when the spark of curiosity really began. Albert's family moved a lot when he was young. They moved from Ulm to Munich and later to Italy and Switzerland. In school, he was not a top student. He was smart, but he didn't like how schools worked. Back then, schools were very strict. Students had to memorize everything and sit quietly for long hours. But Albert didn't want to just remember facts. He wanted to understand why things worked. He asked many questions, and some teachers didn't like that. One teacher even told him he would never succeed in life. Imagine that. One of the greatest minds in history was once told he would fail. Albert loved math and science. He read books on his own, sometimes more advanced than what his school was teaching. He also loved music. His mother taught him how to play the violin, and he often said that music helped him think better. Even though he didn't always do well in school, at home he was always learning, in his own way, at his own speed. When Albert was a teenager, he began thinking deeply about light. One day, he imagined himself riding on a beam of light through space. Can you picture that? He closed his eyes and asked, "If I could ride beside a beam of light, what would I see?" This was not a normal question for a 16-year-old boy, but for Albert, it was the beginning of ideas that would one day change science forever. His family later moved to Italy, but Albert stayed behind in Germany for school. He didn't like it and decided to leave. He was just a teenager, but he made a big decision to leave school and follow his own path. He wanted to study in Switzerland at a polytechnic school in Zurich. This was a school for science and engineering. But guess what? When he first applied, he failed the entrance exam. Yes, Albert Einstein failed. But he didn't give up. He studied more, applied again, and got accepted the next year. This part of Einstein's life teaches us something very important. Just because people think you are slow or because you fail once doesn't mean you won't succeed. Albert was different. He was curious, brave, and not afraid to be himself. He didn't follow the crowd, and even though life was not easy, he kept asking questions and dreaming big. So, in this first chapter of his life, we see a quiet boy, misunderstood, often alone, who found joy in simple things like a compass and a violin. But behind that quiet face was a storm of ideas. The world didn't know it yet, but that boy was going to change everything. Now, let's go to chapter 2, where Einstein starts taking big steps into the world of science, failure, and discovery. You won't believe how this boy who didn't fit in school began his journey to becoming a genius. Chapter 2: Rebellion, Passion, and the Making of a Genius. After finishing school in Germany, young Albert Einstein was ready to chase his dreams, but life was not going to be easy. He didn't like strict rules or boring lessons, so he made a bold choice. Instead of following the usual path, he left Germany and went to Switzerland, a new country with new opportunities. There, he wanted to study science and mathematics at a special school called the Polytechnic in Zurich. But Albert's journey hit a big problem. When he took the entrance exam for the Polytechnic, he failed. Yes, even Einstein failed a big test. This is an important moment to remember. It shows that failure is not the end, but only a step on the way to success. Instead of giving up, Albert didn't lose hope. He spent a year studying on his own and then tried again. This time, he passed the exam and joined the Polytechnic. At school, Albert was not the perfect student. He didn't like memorizing facts or following strict rules. Instead, he loved thinking about ideas, solving puzzles, and learning in his own way. His teachers sometimes thought he was lazy or disrespectful because he didn't study like everyone else. But Albert had a strong mind and a big passion for understanding the world. After graduating, Einstein faced another challenge. He wanted to become a university professor, but no one offered him a job. Imagine finishing school with great ideas but having no work. Instead, he found a job at a patent office in Bern, Switzerland. This was not a job for a scientist. It was about checking inventions and machines to see if they were new. It was quiet, slow work, but it gave Einstein something very important: time to think. At the patent office, Albert's mind was free to imagine and dream. He used his free time to explore deep questions about physics and the nature of the universe. This was a special moment. A boring job became the perfect place for a genius to create. During this time, Albert wrote important scientific papers that surprised the world. He asked questions no one else had asked before. What is time? What is space? Can light travel in different ways? These questions seemed simple, but had never been answered clearly. Einstein's fresh way of thinking was like a new light in the dark. While working and thinking, Albert also lived a simple life. He married Mileva Maric, a woman who was also a physics student. They shared ideas and dreams. But life was not always easy at home either. Albert had struggles in his personal life, but his passion for science never stopped. This chapter of Einstein's life shows us the power of passion and persistence. He didn't follow the usual path to success. He faced failures, disappointments, and hard work. But he stayed curious, and that curiosity became the fuel for his genius. Now, here is a big moment in the story. In the year 1905, while still working at the patent office, Einstein wrote 4 amazing papers that shook the world of science. This is called his miracle year. In these papers, he explained ideas that changed how we understand light, energy, and even time itself. Imagine one man, sitting quietly in an office, writing papers that would change science forever. In the next chapter, we will explore these amazing ideas, including the famous formula E equals mc squared, and why they shocked the world. You will see how Einstein's thinking was different and why it made him a legend. But before that, remember this. If you ever feel lost, or if others tell you no, remember Albert Einstein. His story shows us that passion and hard work, even in difficult times, can lead to greatness. Chapter 3. The Theory That Shocked the World. Now let's talk about the year 1905, a year that changed everything, not just for Albert Einstein, but for science and the way we understand the universe. It is often called Einstein's miracle year. Why? Because in just 1 year, he wrote 4 important papers that surprised scientists everywhere. These papers were about light, energy, and time, and they made people see the world in a completely new way. One of these papers explained something called the photoelectric effect. This is a big name, but the idea is simple. Einstein showed that light is not just a wave, like water moving in the ocean, but also made of tiny packets called photons. This idea helped us understand how light works, and it later led to inventions like solar panels and even helped create lasers. For this work, Einstein won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1921. That was a huge moment. People finally saw that Einstein's ideas were not just strange thoughts, but very important. Another paper introduced the world to something called special relativity. This was a new way to think about space and time. Before Einstein, people thought space and time were the same for everyone, everywhere. But Einstein showed that space and time can change depending on how fast you are moving. For example, time can slow down if you move very fast. Imagine that. Time is not the same for all people. It can bend and stretch like a rubber band. This idea was mind-blowing. And then there is the most famous formula in the world, E equals mc squared. This simple equation means that energy, E, and mass, m, are connected by the speed of light squared, c squared. In easy words, it tells us that a little bit of mass can turn into a huge amount of energy. This was a powerful idea because it explained how the sun shines and later became important in nuclear energy. Even though it looks like just a few letters, this formula changed everything. At first, many scientists didn't understand Einstein's ideas. They thought he was wrong or that his thoughts were too strange. But as time went on, experiments proved him right. Slowly, the world began to accept his new way of thinking. During this time, Einstein became famous. People around the world were curious about the man who could think so differently. He gave talks, wrote books, and helped explain science in new ways. But even with all this attention, he stayed humble. He once said, "I have no special talents. I am only passionately curious." This shows that the real secret of his success was curiosity, a strong desire to understand and ask questions. What makes this chapter exciting is that Einstein's ideas didn't just stay in books. They changed technology, science, and even helped in World War II. His work helped create devices that we use today, like GPS in your phone, which needs Einstein's theory to work correctly. So, this part of Einstein's story is about discovery and how one man's thoughts can change the entire world. It shows us that great ideas come from asking questions, imagining new possibilities, and not being afraid to think differently. In the next chapter, we will see the man behind the genius. We will learn about Einstein's heart, his courage, and how he used his fame for good. You will find out why he is remembered not only as a scientist, but also as a symbol of peace and kindness. Chapter 4: Einstein's Heart and Legacy. Albert Einstein was more than just a genius scientist. He was also a man with a big heart and strong beliefs. Even though he changed the way we understand the universe, he never forgot the importance of kindness, peace, and courage. After becoming famous, Einstein used his voice to speak out against war and violence. During World War I, many people were excited about fighting, but Einstein was different. He believed that war was wrong and tried to help bring peace. Later, during World War II, he was very worried about the dangers of powerful new weapons like the atomic bomb. Even though his famous formula, E equals mc squared, helped scientists understand how energy and mass are connected, Einstein himself was against using this knowledge to hurt people. In 1933, when Adolf Hitler and the Nazis came to power in Germany, Einstein, who was Jewish, left his home country and moved to the United States. He worked at Princeton University and helped many young scientists learn and grow. But Einstein never stopped thinking about the world beyond science. He spoke about human rights, freedom, and justice. He once said, "The world is a dangerous place, not because of those who do evil, but because of those who look on and do nothing." Einstein's personal life had its ups and downs, too. He married twice and had children, but he was also a very private person who loved music and simple pleasures. He enjoyed playing the violin and said music helped him think clearly. Even with all his success, he remained humble, curious, and kind. One surprising fact is that in 1952, after the death of Israel's first president, Einstein was offered the chance to become the president of Israel. Imagine that. but Einstein politely said no. He explained that he was not a politician and felt he could do more good as a scientist and teacher. Einstein passed away on April 18, 1955, but his ideas and spirit live on. Today, his theories help power everything from satellites to smartphones to GPS systems that guide millions of people every day. His name has become a symbol of intelligence, creativity, and the power of curiosity. His life teaches us many important lessons. First, it shows that it's okay to be different or to struggle at school. Second, it reminds us to never stop asking questions and dreaming big. And finally, it tells us that being kind, humble, and caring is just as important as being smart. So, when you think of Albert Einstein, remember not only the scientist, but also the man who believed in peace, who cared deeply about the world, and who inspired millions to keep learning and stay curious. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey through the life of Albert Einstein. If you enjoyed this story and want to learn more about inspiring people and improve your English, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below to share your thoughts. Your support helps this channel grow and helps more learners like you discover amazing stories from history.